Once crossing the Douluo Continent, one arrives at the scene of the peerless Tang Clan. Lin Waner, who possesses the divine-level soul of Soraka, holds the Star Guardian scepter and collects the power of Mainland beliefs. She has been awarded the long rank of ascending the gods and is proud of the divine realm. Let's watch as I start the Starry Forest, summon the Spirit Emperor Willow of nature, and accelerate the revival of soul beasts. The power of the left-hand stars heals the Silver Dragon King Guyuna, gaining the sovereignty of the Soul Beast clan. The falling stars on the right hand force the Tang Clan to break apart one step earlier, exposing the hypocritical side of the Tang God King to the world. Many years later, standing in front of you are the healing God King of the Divine Realm, Wang Qiuer's family, Huoguo's life mentor, Donger's matchmaker, the ancestors of the Sun and Moon Empire's sensitive power to break the sect, the wealthy father behind the Mingda Hall, and the life-saving benefactor of the old ancestors of Ma Xiaotao. Tang Shenhuang. Damn thief. Shrek. What are we fighting with? Hurry up and invite the elder of the Holy Spirit sect, Chicken Legs Douluo. Huoguo. Thanks to Sister Waner, we have today. This article is also known as, I Stolen My Home from the Beginning of Do to the Era of the Peerless Tang Clan, My Damn Old Father's Mindset, and All Staff's Anti-3 Plan, keywords of the novel. Douluo is the healing god king with no pop-ups. Douluo is the healing god king. Download the complete set of TXT. Douluo is the healing god king. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Starry Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Starry Forest. Where will the soul of humans float after death? The underworld. Or it could be being in an endless and sinking darkness, slowly losing its final consciousness. Compared to the former, Lin Waner is more willing to believe that it is the latter. Because this is a world full of stillness. Reaching out to grab a cloud of mist that drifted from somewhere, Lin Waner fell into contemplation. Firstly, what can be certain is that one is indeed dead. The cause of death is also very simple. A mediocre gaming genius finally became a single-row master on an afternoon, feeling too excited and causing the already problematic little heart to overload. So, without enough time to take her medicine, she successfully belched on the esports chair at the age of 23. As for why she came here after death, Lin Waner doesn't quite understand. Thinking of this, Lin Waner instinctively pinched the gray mist that could be touched in her hand as a mouse. The next second, an ancient sound echoed in this pitch-black space. Didi, an unknown energy body has been detected. Charging in progress. Recharged, welcome to League of Legends. Please choose your beloved hero as your martial soul. Lin Waner looked at the familiar UI interface, lost in thought. It seems that she is also one of the many travelers, and the system panel in front of her is her golden finger. Seeing that Lin Waner had not taken the next step for a long time, the ancient voice rang out again. Please choose your hero as the martial soul. Upon hearing the urge in his voice, his mind snapped back and he reached out to point his finger on the dark interface of League of Legends. With the dizzying fluctuations on the interface, there were 165 hero icons representing different heroes around Lin Waner. Under each familiar character icon, there is the name of the hero. The martial soul of Douluo Continent. Let me think about it. Supporting her chin with her hands, Lin Waner, who always pays attention to details, naturally did not forget the sound of the prompt. Welcome to League of Legends, please choose your martial soul. Martial soul. Lin Waner, who is familiar with various online texts, is not unfamiliar with this word. Who makes her love reading novels and comics to replenish her energy when she is tired from playing games. Combining the characteristics of various time travel novels, it is not difficult for Lin Waner to come to a conclusion. The hero she selected from League of Legends will become the martial soul of the well-known novel in her memory. Therefore, Lin Waner, who was familiar with the works of the first two installments, did not hesitate at all and decisively chose the hero she used the most, was most familiar with, and had the most skins as her martial soul. Son of the Stars, Soraka. The selection ended, and the icons representing other heroes gradually faded away from her eyes. Only the icon she selected, gradually expanding and emitting a faint light. As long as I am still alive, no one will suffer. A familiar and gentle female voice echoed in her ear, and a female phantom with unicorn-like horns on her forehead, dark purple skin, and a crescent scepter in her right hand appeared in front of Lin Waner. The hero named Soraka had tightly closed eyes and a sacred expression, as if waiting for Lin Waner's next move. The reason why Lin Waner chose the Son of the Stars, Soraka, as her martial soul is mainly because she is unwilling to charge upstream on the battlefield. Compared to Beast Soul Masters and Control-type Soul Masters, she prefers to become the father of all Soul Masters, providing absolute treatment and rational command. Besides, what's wrong with the auxiliary martial soul? You should know that as the Son of the Stars, Soraka was born a goddess favored by the stars. The power of the stars she wielded also dealt considerable damage to enemies. Being able to fight, output, and heal, it is enough to crush those ordinary martial souls and dominate the crowd. Martial soul confirmation, Soraka, Son of the Stars, preparing to merge. Human senses are infinitely magnified, and at this moment, Lin Waner is carefully experiencing the life from Soraka. An invisible pressure poured out from Lin Waner, which came from the love and blessings of the stars. It can be said that Soraka herself is the embodiment of all beauty, and she should have been respected and loved by all the unknown stars. The heavy pressure attached to Lin Waner's soul in her previous life is dissipating, and the past she doesn't want to face is fading away. The power brought by the rebirth is enough for her to cross the barriers of the world and safely come to the Douluo Continent, becoming the hope that this world consciousness hopes for. Lin Waner, who is currently trapped in memories, is unable to perceive the changes in the outside world and her body. She is working hard to comprehend the life belonging to Soraka, deepen her memory of the plot, story nodes, and detailed portrayal of Douluo Continent. Subsequently, Lin Waner opened her eyes and looked at the completely different darkness from before. In the dark, she sensed why she could be reborn. Originally, she had to bear the responsibility of changing the predetermined fate of important figures in Douluo Continent, carrying the world consciousness and hoping to change the fate of the continent. In this way, it seems that her martial soul has really been chosen correctly. Lin Waner smiled and looked at the passage that appeared not far away, with a flickering light in her eyes. Successful fusion of martial souls, next stop, Starry Forest. The terrifying ancient voice echoed back in space, and in the next second, Lin Waner's soul disappeared into this dark space. Douluo Continent, Starry Forest. One of the three major gathering places for soul beasts, with a vast area spanning across the heavenly Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Deep inside is a more terrifying place than the far north, and few soul masters without long eyes dare to come here to obtain soul rings. Near the depths of the Starry Forest, next to a small stream surrounded by numerous plant-like soul beasts, a giant stone with the pattern of a giant divine peak printed on its outer shell appeared out of thin air. A giant stone containing Lin Waner appeared by the creek, and the plant soul beasts, who were originally unable to move freely and lacked much self-awareness, seemed to have encountered their destined backbone. One by one, he suddenly jumped out of the soil, using his roots as his legs, and clattered towards the giant rock. Pop, pop. A strong heartbeat sounded, and a strange pulse sound similar to the birth of the auspicious beast swept across the entire Starry Forest. An unknown and speechless existence has been born, who, like auspicious beasts, can bring miracles and hope to all soul beasts in the Star Do Forest. All soul beasts below grade 10,000 who are hunting, eating recklessly, and playing around have stopped moving. Their eyes were filled with tears, carrying a complex mixture of grievances and joy, and they deeply worshipped the position where the boulder was located. Although they do not understand what exactly happens in the forest and their limited intelligence cannot make them think of anything, the seeds of hope and wisdom are already buried in their hearts. This is the first time that the newcomer has written about the protagonist Xiang Douluo. We apologize for any mistakes made. This article has no CP timeline after Dui, before the peerless era. Anti-God King, witnessed the new growth of Huogua and others. Updated at 10 p.m. at the latest every night, with double updates until the end. Accumulated collection and follow-up updates will increase, and climbing the leaderboard will also increase. It is the latest special article for female leads. On the male frequency list, the classification is correct. End of this chapter. Chapter 2, Please listen to my prayers, stars. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2, Please listen to my prayers, stars. All the soul beasts remained in a worship position for about 3 minutes, and then the forest in a still state once again emitted the sound of all things growing and moving, and many soul beasts returned to their normal life trajectory. The hunting that needs to be hunted, the play that needs to be played. As for those who have existed for more than 10,000 years, even more than 100,000 years, and even the auspicious beast three-eyed golden lion, who considers himself superior to most soul beasts, coincidentally showed a surprised expression. Among them, the most excited one was Biji, who stayed by the lake, combing her hair. The guardian of the Starry Forest, currently known as the strongest healing-type soul beast, the leader of the treasure jade Swan clan, and one of the few female ferocious beasts. She immediately noticed the birth of a creature resembling an auspicious beast near the edge of a small stream in the forest. Moreover, the origin of that existence is similar to hers, leaning towards healing. Emperor Tian, I'll go and bring it back first, so that there won't be humans around who don't have long eyes discovering it. Before the fierce beasts could speak, Emperor Tian responded. Biji transformed into an emerald green stream of light and flew towards the position where Lin Waner was. That's right, it's flying. Biji may be too anxious and impatient, but I don't believe there is anything more helpful for the growth of our soul beast family than auspicious beasts. Xiong Jun, who looked very rough and didn't look like a good person, glanced at the auspicious beast continuing to play by the lake and said angrily to Emperor Tian. Xiong Jun, who has always admired military power, believes that the auspicious beasts that can bring cultivation speed to all soul beasts are the ones they need more care for. As for the guy who brought a small change in vitality to the forest from birth, he doesn't really like it. Xiong Jun, if you talk like this, I won't like to hear it anymore. Biji, who spoke in the form of an abyssal demon dragon, rolled her eyes and stood up to refute Xiong Jun. Have you ever seen such a earth-shattering vision when other soul beasts were born in the forest? Biji, you can't say that. Xiong Jun pondered for a while and didn't know how to refute it. He could only use his Douluo eyes to look at Emperor Tian, who was dressed in black and presented himself in human form, attempting to make the other person speak for him. Biji's statement is reasonable. Regardless of whether there are any anomalies or not, just because the other party can make Biji so excited is enough for us to wait and see. In the impression of Emperor Tian, Biji, as a healing soul beast that has been around for nearly 600,000 years, has never been as excited as she is today in her time spent together day and night. Therefore, he did not help Xiong Jun, who was just talking but had a brain, to explain the problem from an objective perspective. Emperor Tian spoke slowly, making Xiong Jun, who was already introverted, even more introverted. Seeing Xiong Jun being hit one after another, she has been in a good mood lately and her cultivation speed is quite fast. Without any bottleneck, Biji decided to help the other party make up for it, so as not to lose face in front of the auspicious beast again. But then again, I don't quite agree with Bridget's urgent need to bring people back. Even when the auspicious beast was born, we were observing it in secret for about 3 to 4 years, waiting for it to adapt to the environment of the Starry Forest before taking it over for nurturing. As she spoke, Biji took advantage of Biji's absence and lazily hung it on Emperor Tian's body, playing with his long hair. This made Xiong Jun envious on the side. Damn it, why aren't any of these ferocious beasts interested in themselves and insist on running to like Emperor Tian? He can only go to those soul beasts that have been around for 100,000 years and raise young children with low talent. Emperor Tian was not accustomed to intimate contact with outsiders, so he instinctively patted Ziji's dishonest hand and said calmly, "Perhaps it doesn't seem like an auspicious beast, it has the ability to make other soul beasts unable to resist, that's why Biji is so impatient." "You're right, then let's wait and see fresh blood join our big family." The late-arriving Red King transformed into a burly man with his upper body exposed, and the scars on his face added a hint of ferocity. The curiosity in his eyes was the emotion shared by many fierce beasts at this moment. At the same time, the Snow Emperor, Ice Emperor, Titan Snow Demon King, Ice Bear King, as well as the undiscovered Heavenly Dream who still eats, drinks, and drinks non. Stop, all stopped their work at once. The Starry Forest is really lucky. It's not enough to have a lucky beast, but it even gave birth to such a pure and flawless life. The Snow Emperor bit her lips and looked coldly into the distance, as if she wanted to use her gaze to kill the luck that made the fierce beasts jealous, such as Emperor Tian. If it weren't for being unable to defeat them, coupled with the extreme northern environment, she wouldn't be suitable to go to the forest to grab beasts. Otherwise, no matter what the Snow Emperor says, he will still snatch the treasures from the lucky Star Forest. However, no matter how many ferocious beasts, including the turmoil in the divine realm caused by the birth of an egg, have nothing to do with the current Lin Waner. Because she is currently facing no less than world-class challenges. That's how to use small hands, hands without nails, to open this stone from the giant god peak. Luoli, curled up inside a half-meter-high eggshell, had a painful mask on her face. Although Soraka's appearance can easily lead people to misunderstandings, believing that she is a woman shaped by strange creatures such as unicorns. But in fact, the other person should be a mammal. Instead of laying eggs, let alone being the same mother as Sun Dashing. As Lin Waner's anger and self-awareness continued to improve, the giant stone from the giant god peak couldn't withstand the anger of the gods and made a crisp sound. The next second, the giant stone was decomposed into a light green gas by a gentle breeze, surrounding Lin Waner and forging a scepter with the power of stars for her. That carries the blessings of the stars of another world and is hailed as one of God's most outstanding weapons, the scepter of the moon. With the blessing of power, the wand of the moon also ignited an unknown divine power, which was transforming at a visible speed into another golden rod, with a sharp edge and an orange gemstone embedded inside. Above it floated a pair of pure white winged wands. This is the scepter from the guardian skin of Soraka Star. Holding a scepter in her hand and feeling the unknown rolling force within her body, Lin Waner instinctively opened her mouth and loudly said, "Please listen to my prayers, stars." Her voice fell, and a golden meteor shadow fell from the sky to the earth, creating a sound that was not loud but as pleasant as a spring. The light golden particles of light are buried underground in the Star Forest with the sound, repairing the bodies of all soul beasts and life. Under the reflection of the unknown stars in Douluo Continent, Lin Waner, who had not yet awakened her soul power, understood the innate realm brought by her martial soul. Prayer without a teacher. With the blessing of top-level martial souls, countless soul beasts have received pity from the stars, and even the dark wounds left by several fierce beasts in the depths of the forest and near the lake have been healed. Not to mention the silver-haired imperial sister who was sleeping at the bottom of the lake with serious injuries. The sleeping silver dragon King Gu Yuna only felt that her body was nourished by another hot spring, and her soul was relieved of pain. Her expression gradually softened from pain. Her fingers began to twitch unconsciously, her mouth remained still, but her voice reached the ears of every ferocious beast from afar. "Bring her here, she is the only hope of the Soul Beast clan, and also the holy beast that can completely heal me." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Peerless Beauty Biji. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The peerless beauty Biji. The extremely high praise from the Silver Dragon King made Emperor Tian and others unable to marvel at the strength of the newborn. They exchanged a glance and nodded. The next second, it transformed into different colored streamers and rushed towards the position where Lin Waner was located. If Emperor Tian had any suspicions about Lin Waner before, he immediately dispelled all the conspiracy theories hovering in his mind at this moment. Because the little guy who can make the soul beast co-owner have thoughts of protection and possession, whether it's a conspiracy from the divine realm or not, he will do his best to protect the other person, even better than treating auspicious beasts. After all, that guy's healing ability far exceeds that of the nearly 590,000-year-old Jade Swan leader, who is also one of his current wives, Biji. Thinking of this, Emperor Tian did not forget to transmit his message to the entire Starry Forest on the road. All the people living in the Starry Forest, remember this power and never harm it. Those who violate it will die. Now, soul beasts with or without brains understand that there is another, sacred beast, in the place where they reside, protected by fierce beasts such as Emperor Tian and cannot be harmed. Along with playing by the lake, the auspicious beast, who didn't care much about the vision coming, also looked up towards the distance. For some unknown reason, she always felt that the heavy fate she was supposed to bear had dissipated a lot, and her mind had become clearer. In the reflection of his eyes, the energy belonging to the Star Forest, which was about to decline, was visibly strengthened. Sister. Sister, I really like it. After saying these words, the auspicious beast turned around and played with the butterfly soul beast, forgetting everything that had just happened. On the outskirts of the Star Forest, by a small stream, Lin Waner, who appeared to be around 3 or 4 years old, was unaware that her unconscious actions had already disturbed the fate of the entire Star Forest. At present, she looked at the reflection in the stream and carefully observed the face of this life. Unlike the pale and slightly sickly self in the previous life. Now with a healthy body and a lifespan like a soul beast, she has healthy, smooth and tender skin with no visible pores. Originally a light pink short hair, it was influenced by residual power and turned into highly glossy green long hair. The long hair that made all bald girls envious in the past life, now neatly draped behind her, with bright eyes like stars, proves that in this life, she is more like Soraka with the skin of the Star Guardian. Fortunately, there are no horns on the forehead, otherwise integrating into the human world would be a problem. However, just in terms of appearance, I can definitely compare myself with the many beauties in the manga version now. Holding a mini Star Guardian scepter in her hand, Lin Waner stood up and patted the non-existent soil on her body. Looking at the endless forest, she fell into contemplation. What should she do now? Although consciousness informed her that she needed to help some people break their predetermined fate and try to help the Soul Beast clan break free from their tragic fate. But she really doesn't know what the world she's in right now is. If it were Douluo, wouldn't she want to resurrect someone who claims to have a way to take death, my beloved? Dealing with the Tang God King in the canon. Thinking of Tang Shenhuang's values and conduct, Lin Waner, who was only 3 or 4 years old, couldn't help but sigh as she held the baton of a wet nurse. Can she only choose to join the Martial Soul Hall? Although she quite enjoys the contributions made by the Martial Soul Hall to soul masters and common people, Pope Bibidon is also a sickly love brain and harbors strong malice towards soul beasts. To make Bibidong, as the Pope, and even the entire Hall of Martial Souls abandon the rampant hunting of soul beasts and change the tragic fate of the Soul Beast clan and some people, is undoubtedly adding insult to injury and difficulty. Moreover, she is currently just a child with a top-level healing martial soul. Even if she shows enough talent in front of everyone in the Martial Soul Hall, it is impossible to convince them with just one mouth. In this way, I am nothing but. What is it? A voice without any malice came from the ancient tree in the distance, and Lin Waner instinctively replied, unless you enter the depths of the Starry Forest. Just as Lin Waner sorted out her thoughts and prepared to step away from the stream, she suddenly turned around and looked up at the towering ancient tree behind her. She quickly put on an attitude of not entering strangers and loudly asked, who is where? Who is who? An unknown fear filled her heart, and she never imagined that there would be someone near her birthplace. Judging from the sound just now, the other person is around 30 years old and female in gender. I just don't know if it's a passerby who happened to pass by here or a soul master who hunts soul rings. If it's the latter grasping the scepter tightly in her hand, Lin Waner regretted accidentally expressing her inner thoughts just now. But now, all we can do is fight. Who the hell is it? Why don't you dare to come out and see it? A child around the age of 3 or 4 appears to be braving and dancing with their teeth and claws on the surface. The residual primary strength inside her body is expanding through her meridians to her limbs, and the constant power of the stars is transforming her body at an astonishing speed. At the same time, the blue-silver grass that Lin Waner was stepping on flashed a dark light that ordinary human eyes could not detect. It underwent significant changes in its roots and stems, and the forbidden demon power from the giant god peak was transformed into a curse that prohibited the movement of soul power. Those who step into the circle will have their entire soul power blocked, unable to move, and can only be unlocked after a period of time. This is another talent skill brought by Soraka's martial soul. Star Barrier. Biji, hidden in the ancient tree, had a momentary daze. Before coming, she had never thought of helping the Starry Forest or even the entire Soul Beast clan overcome difficulties. The little one was a human, not a soul beast. However, thinking of the little one's previous comments. As a top-level healing soul beast, Biji squinted her eyes and was surprised to find that there seemed to be a sudden layer of phantom on her body. That is a soul beast, with legs that resemble goat hooves, and a unique horse horn of the unicorn family growing in the middle of the forehead, which has never been seen before. Interesting. Since the other party has the shadow of a soul beast clan transformation on their body, coupled with the fact that they were born, it brings blessings to the entire Starry Forest. After considering the current situation comprehensively, Biji no longer teased the nervous little guy below and landed on the ground below the ancient tree in human form. Lin Waner. The person who witnessed and eavesdropped on her speech with their own eyes was actually one of the few female ferocious beasts in the Starry Forest during the peerless Tang dynasty. When the Jade Swan and Biji appeared, Lin Waner's healthy little heart almost stopped beating again. Imagine a character who could gracefully land from the air as your wife and grandmother, and even eavesdrop on your self-talk just now. What kind of awkward planning would be like? At this moment, Lin Waner was very nervous, staring at the Biji in front of her, who exuded a scent of female hormones from all over her body, had a unique emerald green long hair, and was dressed in an emerald green dress, exuding a noble and elegant style. Lin Waner, whose brain was rapidly spinning to the point where the CPU was almost overloaded, decided to give up struggling and sleep as a gesture of respect. That's right, it literally means to sleep first as respect. Not long after her birth, Lin Waner, who had suddenly mastered 2 innate domain skills, was frightened by the gorgeous appearance of Biji, and the power of the stars in her body became disorganized. She successfully fell into a deep sleep before Biji spoke again. At a loss, Biji suspected that she had said the wrong thing. Many fierce beasts who have been peeping on the side for a long time. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Refusing Love Brain, starting from dolls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Refusing Love Brain, starting from dolls. The fierce beasts hiding in the dark no longer hide their own breath, and one after another came to Biji's side, staring at the little girl lying on the ground, sleeping soundly, with different expressions. Is she the little one who caused chaos among all the soul beasts in the Starry Forest? Judging solely from her breath, she doesn't seem to be a pure soul beast. Biji, who possessed extremely high intelligence, instinctively stood beside Emperor Tian. Even if it was more than 10 meters away, she suddenly smelled the unique aura on Lin Waner's body and opened her red lips to express her thoughts. You should know that even the only ancient auspicious beast on the Douluo Continent today, known as the Emperor's three-eyed golden lion by some antique enthusiasts, emits a unique scent from the Soul Beast clan. However, the scent emanating from the green-haired lowly, who was less than half a meter tall in front of me, didn't smell like a soul beast, let alone a human. It is difficult to distinguish whether the other party is a creature nurtured by heaven and earth. If it is a mutated product fused by some unknown thing by a certain divine king in the divine realm, specifically targeting their soul beast clan, it would be difficult to handle. Seemingly aware of the problems that many ferocious beasts were thinking in their hearts, Emperor Tian coldly said solemnly, "This is not the divine realm. I can't tolerate their reckless intervention, which belongs to the energy of the Starry Forest." After a pause, Emperor Tian scanned every compatriot who had been guarding the Starry Forest for many years with almost stern eyes and said word by word, "The Soul Beast clan cannot be forever suppressed by weak humans, curled up in the forest. And she is a miraculous creation that can heal the wounds and even divine souls of the co-owner, accelerating our return to the divine realm, so there are some words. The ferocious beasts present are all old antiques that have lived for over 100,000 years, so one can naturally understand the meaning beyond the Emperor's words." Beside her, Biji nodded, her emerald-like eyes reflecting on Lin Waner's small body. "I believe in intuition that her body and soul exude an indescribable purity. It will not be a weapon borne by some gods to rule the lower world and strangle the Soul Beast clan's conspiracy. With the unparalleled healing nanny who claims to be the first on the whole continent, no one dares to claim second place." The ferocious beast, who acted as a background board on the side and had no intention of continuing, nodded. They would agree with Lin Waner's noble status bestowed upon them by the Communist Party and be willing to show the same attitude towards the auspicious beast towards each other. Lin Waner, who was sleeping in the center of the blue-silver grass, little did she know that during her slumber, she had been bestowed with the same status as the auspicious beasts by a group of fierce beasts. "All right, everyone." After clapping her hands, Biji, who caught everyone's attention, considered that Lin Waner was still young and had a very similar appearance to a soul beast that had just transformed into an adult for 100,000 years. The Jadeite Swan clan leader, who has always had a delicate mind, posed a considerable challenge to the fierce beasts present. "Who will raise her to grow up?" "Growing up. Just leave it in the lake and raise it as you please. You can also learn hunting with the auspicious beasts, get to know each other, and be a good companion." Xiong Jun said disapprovingly, as a representative of the 5 major and 3 rough, a foolish and honest spokesperson, his means of raising young children are nothing more than sticks and meat, as long as he doesn't die. After listening to Xiong Jun's speech, the Red King twitched his eyes and couldn't help but say, "Do you think she is the cub of your Xiong tribe? She has rough skin and thick flesh, and I'm afraid she may not be strong enough to resist attacks." Seeing this, Biji's voice contained a hint of dissatisfaction. She glared at Xiong Jun, who didn't think she had said the wrong thing, and added, "What I mean is that she needs someone to help her familiarize herself with every inch of land in the Starry Forest, get to know every soul beast that has been rational for over 10,000 years, familiarize herself with the distribution and habits of all races, including instilling normal, non-radical thinking. After all, she is different from the auspicious beast. When she was born, her appearance was like a cub in the human world, and the healing power hidden within her body was not even visible to me. Moreover, her breath was also very similar to that of the blue-silver emperor and soul master who were born together in the past." Upon Biji's words, the inexplicable beasts suddenly realized. Undoubtedly, it is Biji. Originally, she wanted the ferocious beast to cultivate a sense of belonging for newborns in the Starry Forest, and see if she could cultivate a deity belonging to the soul beast tribe. Emperor Tian, who had been observing the expressions of each ferocious beast, heard that Biji was considering cultivating Lin Waner as a deity of the Soul Beast clan. His lips slightly curved upwards, and his expression was not as cold as before. Because everything Biji said is true, currently the Soul Beast clan is not lacking in combat power. Looking around, whether it's the Starry Forest or the faint soul beasts of the three giants in the far north, the old and immortal fish in the deep sea can be slaughtered in the human world alone. Even so, they still cannot escape being squeezed by the hypocritical gods in the divine realm for their own value, and cannot avoid the fate of their subjects being hunted and killed by human soul masters, becoming soul rings. The fundamental reason for the problem lies in the fact that the Soul Beast clan has always liked to act on instinct, and has even developed a love brain since ancient times, with each one becoming more ruthless. Previously, the Blue-Silver Emperor, who was born in the Blue-Silver Forest, completely disregarded the life and death of the soul beasts and chose to elope with humans, abandoning his homeland as his subjects. Later, without knowing the vastness of heaven and earth, he completely forgot that his mother was a soft-bone rabbit killed by humans. Resurrect, my beloved. The famous scene was so unbearable that Emperor Tian almost died of anger. If it weren't for them betraying the Soul Beast clan, betraying the Lord, forgetting the mission and arrogance of the Soul Beast clan, how could they shrink back in the small Starry Forest? When he thought of the war that made him deeply regretful in the past, Emperor Tian couldn't help but emit a sense of pressure that alarmed the crowd discussing custody rights on the side. Not only that, but also the soul beasts within 100 miles were frightened and trembled, and even the weaker ones went straight to heaven, their bodies becoming food for the soul beasts on the side. Emperor Tian. As soon as she finished speaking, Biji turned into a flowing light and came to Emperor Tian's side, nervously instilling soul power into her opponent, attempting to heal this responsible leader who was always at the forefront of all soul beasts with healing power. I'm fine. Taking a deep breath, Emperor Tian's voice was a bit hoarse as he adjusted his own breath. He glanced at Lin Waner, who was still asleep, and said sharply, together, Biji and Ziji are responsible for taking care of her clothing, food, housing, and transportation. The Red King is responsible for taking her to familiarize herself with the Star Forest, the Demon King is responsible for taking her to familiarize herself with the human world, and I am responsible for exercising her soul power and strength. The ferocious beasts who were named looked at each other and were also very satisfied with the assigned task. Without any hesitation, they turned their heads and said to Emperor Tian, "Take your orders." "And what about me?" Xiong Jun, who was waiting for the task with his ears perked up, saw that Emperor Tian had lost his voice and anxiously shouted, "Why not have me?" "Emperor Tian, you are causing discrimination. Isn't he just a naive person who used to crave the bodies of Biji, Ziji, and others? Emperor Tian has been cautious for so many years, how come he hasn't forgotten about this matter?" "You." Emperor Tian Cake, he really didn't intentionally target Xiong Jun, but as the leader of the Dark Gold Terror Claw Bear clan, Xiong Jun is really not suitable to take care of his children. Didn't you see that Lucky Beast usually doesn't want to approach him? As soon as he approached, he exploded and left, hiding aside to lick his fur for a long time, afraid of getting the scent of Xiong Jun, a person who doesn't like to take a shower. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Angry Biji. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Angry Biji. After much thought, Emperor Tian finally came up with a solution and said to Xiong Jun, "You should be responsible for testing her soul power level after each cultivation, after all, your body is indeed very resistant to attacks." Upon hearing this, Xiong Jun was full of energy and a satisfied expression appeared on his face. Helping the other party test their soul power level is not a bad job. The fierce beasts discussed how to deal with the issue of the ownership and nurturing of newborns, and then looked at Lin Waner who was still sleeping soundly, revealing the gaze of the old father/mother. "It's not safe to keep her sleeping here like this. I'll take her back to the lake first." After speaking, Biji, who is the top high-end milk in the mainland, disregarded everyone's reactions and rushed to Lin Waner's side, who was surrounded by blue-silver grass. Immediately after, her expression froze and she exclaimed in a low voice, "Huh." Biji, who had set foot in the core area, watched helplessly as her soul power was blocked by an unknown force, and even the light green dress condensed from her soul power was stained with the marks of the starry sky. Oh no, it seems like she can't move anymore. The Jade Swan, who was not good at fighting and breaking seals, blushed with embarrassment and formed a beautiful scenery in the eyes of the fierce beasts. She didn't understand how the newborn cub could create a formation that could seal the soul power inside the soul beast for hundreds of thousands of years. This is too outrageous, isn't it? Biting her upper lip lightly with her lower teeth, Biji forcefully turned her head and narrowed her flawless green eyes. She half threatened and half begged for help, saying to Emperor Tian and Ziji, "Come and help me, my soul power and body are imprisoned by her." At this moment, Biji was unaware that the reason why she had been silent for so long by Lin Waner's star infusion was fundamentally because she was the essence of the Jade Swan, a top-level healing soul beast. Therefore, as a divine-level Soraka martial soul of the upper level, it will naturally have a great impact on the healing-type soul beasts and soul masters of the lower level. The strongest in the world, the beast god Emperor Tian, heard a plea for help from Biji and decisively gave up appreciating the scene of his peerless beauty, becoming angry and ashamed, extending his hand to transmit his soul power. Due to physical contact with Biji, the silent effect of the infused power from the planet Soraka also spread to Emperor Tian. When Emperor Tian noticed a 1-second stiffness in his body and the soul power flowing up and down his body was blocked for 2 seconds, he couldn't help but glance up at the culprit Lin Waner, who caused Biji's embarrassment. Because anyone who can stop his soul power and make his body stiff is none other than the best in this world or the divine realm. Hey, it's not good to start flirting recklessly in front of me. Without the concept of human monogamy, Ziji, one of the heavenly wives of the beast god emperor, couldn't bear the numbness of the two, so she transformed into wings and flew to their side, preparing to forcibly separate them. Ziji, what are you talking nonsense about? Yu Guang saw that Xiong Jun's do eyes narrowed into a slit, and the Biji chi, which seemed to be flowing with transparent liquid at the corner of his mouth, didn't hit a single spot. His soul power unconsciously began to work again, and his body could also move. Opening her pure white wings, Biji flashed away from the range that Emperor Tian and Ziji could touch, her gaze fiercely fixed on these joyful beasts. Xiong Jun, Qi Wang, Ziji, Wanyao Wang, all of you come and feel this power for me. Otherwise, if you suffer injuries from fights in the future, don't come to me. Go find those human soul masters to spend money on treatment. The people who were named looked bewildered, completely unaware that Bridget was threatening them with healing wounds. I think it's good. This way, the Starry Forest will also become more peaceful, and there won't be any plants or soul beasts crying about your home being demolished again. Emperor Tian nodded, he was a little impressed by Biji's proposal. When Zijidan saw Emperor Tian nodding her head, she stopped and quickly retracted her wings to stand on the blue-silver grass. The fierce beasts present were the ones who fought the most fiercely and were injured the most. If there is really no treatment from Biji in the future, it will take her 10 to 20 years to just shrink in the cave for healing, and she will not let the beast live. As for going out to find human soul beasts to treat wounds, just kidding. Currently there is no soul master on the mainland who can match the healing ability of the Jade Swan clan chief, unless she is willing to go deep into the core area of the mainland and kidnap a soul master from the Nine Hearts Begonia martial soul back. I'll do it. The fierce beasts, who were well aware of the seriousness of the situation, came to Lin Waner's side like dumplings, feeling the suffocating feeling of their soul power being confined and having nowhere to release. The funniest one among them was Xiong Jun. Coincidentally, he smelled a fragrance of flowers and sneezed but couldn't make it out, which successfully amused the angry Biji. Alright, stop pretending. Imprisonment doesn't last as long for you guys who are good at fighting. After all, it was a soul beast that had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Upon reflection, Biji clarified her thoughts and roughly understood why she had been imprisoned by Lin Waner for so long that she couldn't break free. Biji is still smart. Biji nodded on her own, with a hint of smile in her eyes, and joked, "You can treat us in the future. It's not easy without Biji." Biji raised her eyebrows and said calmly, "Judging from my mood, as for this child, you will be responsible for taking it back. I can't rest assured that these stinky men will take care of me." The fierce beasts affected by the map cannon unconsciously touched their noses, and they could see that Biji's anger was still lingering. "Where are you going then?" Biji frowned and said inexplicably. "I'll go back to my tribe and handle some matters first. I'll see you by the lake later." With a lesson from the past, Biji naturally wants to declare the mysterious power inherent in Lin Waner within her tribe, allowing most of the Star Forest to be equipped with spiritual healing soul beasts, and not blindly get close to her. Every soul beast with healing ability is a treasure in the Starry Forest. If either side accidentally causes damage, Biji doesn't know who to worry about. "Okay." Seeing that Biji's expression didn't seem to be fake, Biji returned to Emperor Tian's side and gently picked up the sleeping Lin Waner under the gaze of a group of male ferocious beasts, gently shaking her. Biji, who had never experienced childbirth and only knew how to fight and practice in the first half of her life, was touched by a young cub for the first time. Her gaze and face gradually softened, emitting a maternal radiance. For a moment, Emperor Tian, known for his iron and stone heart, couldn't help but whisper, "If we like it, we will definitely have a healthy child." The more top-level soul beasts combine, the harder it is to have offspring, which is well-known to most ferocious beasts. Therefore, after unsuccessful pursuit of Biji and Biji, Xiong Jun turned his head to find soul beasts that have been around for 100,000 years, or even under 100,000 years, as his wife. Upon hearing these words, Biji blushed slightly and joked, "Who wants to have a child? I won't have one. You have to give birth yourself." Emperor Tian stroked Biji's smooth and tender shoulders as he spoke slowly, "That's not possible. Our marriage has been blessed by the Lord, how can I have a child alone?" Upon hearing the name of the co-leader, Biji's previously resistant mind turned around, hesitating and whispering, as if agreeing to the emperor's request. Later on, as if unable to tolerate such an ambiguous atmosphere, Lin Waner disappeared in front of everyone without giving Emperor Tian a chance to react. "I have signed a contract and it is my first time writing a female lead article on a male channel. If there are any mistakes, please point them out and I will consider making modifications. The pace ahead is a bit slow, but it will be better in a few more chapters. Please follow up, collect, and don't fatten up." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Soul Beast Saint. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Soul Beast Saint Starry Forest, at the lake. Inspired by the cultivation of soul power through Soraka's martial soul, Lin Waner woke up leisurely to become a god by healing others, gaining pure faith power, and then feeding herself back. In this way, she may need to ponder how to collect pure power of faith and break through the minimum combat power of fantasy as soon as possible, becoming a star spirit in the Rune Continent. As Lin Waner fully awakened, a small star gemstone suddenly separated from the star guardian scepter in her hand. Starry gemstones seem to be guided by some mysterious force, and their dazzling bodies emit a soft glow. Under the reflection of light, a giant tree from Ionia appeared projected onto the lake, its sturdy body resembling an ancient dragon that could not be seen at a glance. On every willow branch grows dense and tender buds, and the rich and fragrant natural atmosphere constantly sweeps through every inch of the land it occupies. Is this Emperor Lu? Lin Waner looked regretfully at the shattered stars and gemstones on the ground, then looked up at the ancient tree 100 times larger than her, and couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. According to the background story of the game, in ancient Ionia, there was a sacred forest called Amakalan, which means, the heart of the world. Here is the most sacred thing of the Ionians. The Imperial Willow. It is the spirit of nature in Ionia, therefore, under the influence of the Emperor Willow, magic intertwined in the land, the forest flourished and extended, and the leaves were colorful. Nowadays, the shadow of Emperor Lu, symbolizing the spirit of nature, has gradually transformed into a physical entity, bringing countless surprises to the entire Starry Forest. The most obvious one is that it brings a continuous source of vitality and soul power to the forest, and brings prosperity to the spiritual and material fields of the Starry Forest. The fierce beasts didn't expect that they just spent some extra time preparing dinner. To celebrate the birth of the second auspicious beast, in the Star Forest, Lin Waner was able to make such a big noise alone. A subtle but warm vitality is like a mother in nature, caressing her skin and the depths of everyone's souls. Biji said, "Why hasn't there been such a commotion in a short while? In the long run, although it will bring real benefits to the Star Forest, if those people in the divine realm look envious and impose divine punishment, it won't be good." There was no movement on Emperor Tian's face, but his speed of rushing back increased significantly. "You're right, if those people in the divine realm really find an excuse to lower the divine punishment, the injuries on the leader's body will worsen again. It seems like we need to find a way to cover up her breath." Not long after, the speeding crowd rushed to the lake. Di Tian, Biji, Ziji, Wanyao Wang, Qi Wang, Xiong Jun. 6 top-notch ferocious beasts from the top sects in the mainland can gather together and gaze at Lin Waner floating in mid-air, surrounded by tender leaves falling from Emperor Lu's body. At this moment, Lin Waner's eyes closed tightly, and a faint green light fell from her head, slowly condensing into a phantom behind her. Everyone watched helplessly as behind Lin Waner, there appeared a woman with a similar appearance to Biji, a gentler temperament, and full of divinity. An unknown song resounded, echoing deep in the Starry Forest, appearing particularly fairy tale. The melody of the voice is clear and ethereal, and the cave below the lake has also undergone changes. The cave is deep and dim, with little light visible. There is only a hot spring water that has been transformed by Biji and contains healing power, continuously flushing towards the body of the silver dragon King Guyuna. But at this moment, a hazy consciousness phantom intercepted the artificial water flow. The consciousness shadow seems to have a strong attraction to the healing spring water, as the upstream and downstream springs continuously converge towards her, directly causing Guyuna's body to be unable to receive healing from the water flow. Although there was no movement on the face of the silver dragon king, who was large in size and curled up together, the divine soul belonging to Guyuna had long been on the same level as the consciousness shadow behind her. She could see that this illusory consciousness was actually Lin Waner's soul. Perhaps due to the need for high-intensity acceptance of Emperor Lu's blessings, Lin Waner's soul temporarily left her body and unexpectedly arrived at a cave full of restrictions. Even the hypocritical gods in the divine realm could not be found, containing the silver dragon king Guyuna. However, compared to Lin Waner herself, Guyuna now cares more about the unknown songs and the Emperor Lu, who emerged out of thin air and has a stronger vitality than the tree of life of the god of life. Observing the changes in the Starry Forest carefully, the Silver Dragon King was surprised by this. Although she has been from the divine realm to the lower realm for many years and rarely asks Emperor Tian about the movements of humans and the divine realm, she is not a fool who knows nothing. Lin Waner, who is extremely special in the divine realm, proves that the other person may not be a native indigenous person, but a creature from the outside world. So she actually knew from the beginning that Lin Waner's power was not something that the Soul Beast clan could control. This kind of new creation from the world consciousness level is only suitable for investment and enhancement, not for control. Because they will adjust to their optimal state based on the environment and rules of different places of birth, and they will also choose camps based on the people they meet, benefiting themselves but not others. I hope you're not the latter. Guyuna pondered for a moment and realized that the power that Lin Waner currently possesses and displays is biased towards nature, life, and the soul. From the perspective of power alone, Lin Waner doesn't seem to be a person who does all sorts of evil, betrays his promises, and has a heart full of deceit. So, the Silver Dragon King Guyuna, who had always been unwilling to participate in games, gritted her teeth and shared the sovereignty symbolizing the leadership of soul beasts with Lin Waner, making her position second only to Emperor Tian. Gu Yuna, who shared some of her power, learned the other party's real name. So your name is Lin Waner, which is actually a good name. Gu Yuna finally glanced at her soul still floating in mid-air, absorbing the healing power from the spring water, and sighed deeply. Her divine soul returned to its original form, transmitting sounds to the soul beasts on the ground. I hereby issue this decree under the command of the Lord. From now on, Lin Waner will be the saint of the soul beast clan, ranking only below the emperor's heaven and above the auspicious beasts. After speaking, the Silver Dragon King used his divine power to send Lin Waner's consciousness back into his body above the ground. At present, Lin Waner is still a child and is not suitable for exposing her soul to the outside for a long time, especially since this place is full of prohibitions. Accidentally, it is easy for her soul to be sealed, causing her to never climb the divine level again in the future. At this point, the soul infused with the scent of Gu Yuna returns to the body blessed by the Emperor of Nature, Lu. The potential from the star spirit, the blessing from Emperor Lu, and the power of the soul beast clan. The power of the Trinity completely changed Lin Waner, making her truly non-human to some extent. Perhaps this may sound difficult to understand, but to put it simply, Lin Waner has evolved step by step from a mortal body to an innate treasure, similar to a pangu axe. This woman is so terrifying. What is her future, wife? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Soul Beast and Fox Consort for 100,000 years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Soul Beast and Fox Consort for 100,000 years. Sitting on a handmade rocking chair by Biji, gazing at a group of ferocious beasts busy arranging dinner with her as the center, Lin Waner, who was 7 or 8 years old, had been lost in thought for a while as she grew older. She looked at the several ferocious beasts she had only seen in books before her, as well as the unnamed soul beasts swaying back and forth. She set up fruit plates one after another, and stewed meat with unknown immortal herbs to make soup. Smelling the broth cooked in Biji's pot, Lin Waner swallowed her saliva wildly, eagerly waiting for the meal to start. Biji naturally knew that the owner of her gaze was hungry, but the newly cooked magic wolf meat was not yet fully cooked and the toxins inside had not been completely removed. She gave Lin Waner a taste directly, which may lead to mistakes. So she became ruthless and ignored Lin Waner's gaze, patiently simmering the meat in the pot. But not only Lin Waner, but also the three-eyed golden lion who was playing crazy, were envious of this pot of magic wolf meat. Having dense hair and not choosing to transform into a human, the three-eyed golden dragon would only be about the same age as Lin Waner today. But if sorted by the age and birth time of soul beasts, theoretically Lin Waner would be called Sister Sanyen Jean Ni. But as the elder sister's three-eyed golden dragon, her mind cannot match that of Lin Waner, who has lived for 2 lifetimes. I saw her cat pounce towards Lin Waner, generously extending its soft paws and draped them over her thighs, with the white hem of her skirt. Sister, I'm hungry. Let Biji feed me. The reason why Sanyen Jean and I sought Lin Waner's help was simply because she realized that tonight's banquet was prepared for the other party. Therefore, as long as Lin Waner speaks up, Biji, who is good at making herbal supplements, will definitely give her a piece of food that soul beasts cannot refuse in advance. Rue beast, I'm not your sister, and Biji won't listen to me. Lin Waner shook her head and publicly rejected the request of the three-eyed golden dragon, but her heart was turned over by the silly and cute demeanor of the lucky beast. Who can refuse a big cat that is golden and emits a pleasant smell of sunlight? Especially after this cat transformed into an adult, she became a handsome imperial sister, Wang Qiuer. Contrast cute, beast-ear girl, he, ha. Are you hungry, sister? Why is your mouth watering? The three-eyed golden dragon selectively deaf and noticed that there seemed to be saliva flowing from the corner of Lin Waner's mouth. It turned around again and rushed towards Biji, who was boiling a large pot of meat. Sister Biji. Waner is hungry. Just give me a piece of meat. I don't have it. Lin Waner, who had reacted, reached out her Kong's hand in an attempt to kill the lying three-eyed golden lion with her eyes. She is mature, steady and considerate. She is not an anime Freund. However, Lin Waner's call did not awaken the conscience of the three-eyed golden dragon. The other party really obtained a large piece of cooked meat from Biji and placed it in a bowl woven from a pillar. The three-eyed golden dragon picked up the plate with its mouth and ran towards Lin Waner with a thud. Standing in front of Lin Waner, she gently put down the plate in her mouth and gave the golden dragon 3 licks before firmly saying, "Sister, eat first." Oh my, I've never seen a soul beast beg for food in the mouth of an Ingrué beast. You're so lucky, Waner. A fox girl with a fox cub in her arms and a black strapless long dress emerged from behind, with a pair of seductive eyes that looked up at Lin Waner with a smile. Startled, Lin Waner gave up on the line and said thank you to the auspicious beast cruelly. With a reserved hand, she tore off a piece of soul beast meat and took a small bite. Eat well. Lin Waner only felt that this soul beast meat was the most delicious meat she had ever eaten. She was hungry for a while and accelerated her pace, and soon finished the meat in her hand. Wiping her hands with the blue-silver grass visible everywhere on the ground, Lin Waner first touched the head of the golden dragon 3 times and said, "You can eat the rest. I can't eat too much." "Thank you, sister." After receiving Lin Waner's reply, the eager three-eyed golden dragon immediately tore up the remaining meat and wolfed it into its mouth. After glancing at the three-eyed golden dragon that tasted delicious, Lin Waner leaned slightly and said, "Are you?" With a fox cub in one hand and a folding fan emerging from somewhere in the other, the fox beauty with a strong feminine charm joked, "I am the wife of the Red King, the newly formed head of the Ink Fox clan. You can also call me the Fox Consort." "Hello, Sister Fox Consort." Calling out someone without losing a piece of flesh, Lin Waner showed her years of social banditry talent and quickly started chatting with the Fox Queen who had just given birth. "The Red King is not at home, the Fox concubine belongs to me. Hee 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 hee." Lin Waner, with the intention of watching beauties, went to talk to the Fox concubine, understand the basic information and situation of the mainland today, supplement knowledge that cannot be reached in the original book, and broaden her horizons. On the other side, the Red King, who patrols the Starry Forest on a daily shift, sneezed loudly, scaring off the Soul Douluo who had been trying to pick up leaks in the Starry Forest for 2 nights. "What's going on? I always feel like someone is thinking about what's going on with my wife. Is it because Xiong Jun is itching again?" The muttering Red King shook his head again and said decisively, "It's impossible. That worthless guy always only likes soul beasts that can be beaten. It must be his wife thinking of me. We need to patrol quickly." Returning to Lin Waner's side, she now roughly understood why the Fox concubine was the first soul beast to chat with her. It turned out that her birth and the appearance of Emperor Lu saved the difficult to give birth Fox Consort, and forcibly transformed the little creature with innate deficiencies into a highly talented soul beast. That's right, isn't the child that foxes and dogs can give birth to a fox dog? Although the Douluo Continent lacks bloodline and cannot be connected, there is still a significant difference in strength and status between the two, and difficult childbirth is inevitable. Now, bad things have turned into good things, and her behind-the-scenes promoter will indeed be liked by the Fox Queen. So it's been less than 200 years since Tang Sanqing became the god. Is there a so-called extreme title Douluo in the human world? Or is it something high-tech? Lin Waner, who had become a soul beast with a status second only to Emperor Tian, no longer cared about her thoughts and other things, and decisively asked about the situation of the Fox Consort. Upon hearing the saint in front of her calling out the name of a certain god, the Fox Queen quickly covered her son's ear and whispered, "Don't call his name directly. If you are detected, the Starry Forest will be searched again by the divine eye." Oh, I was careless." Lin Waner nodded and admitted that she was wrong, hoping that the Fox Consort would give an answer. As far as I know, humans have already started researching what mechanical props are called, and there are not many extreme Douluo. As for his time of becoming a god, it has only been about 150 years. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Fierce Beast Stealing Home Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Fierce Beast Stealing Home Plan. As soon as the words fell, Lin Waner calculated the average age of the Soul Master, and a possibility flashed through her mind, causing her to suddenly stand up from her seat. So, they haven't died yet. Her voice was both surprised and joyful, causing the three-eyed golden dragon, who was feasting on her side, to look sideways. The fox consort's seductive eyes, raised upwards, revealed confusion, clearly not understanding what the saint was surprised by. Cough. Sorry, I was a bit excited just now. Lin Waner waved her hand and gestured 3 times for what Jean and I should do, then fell into contemplation again. Although she had been willing to give up the idea of stealing a house since she was born in the Starry Forest and encountered a ferocious beast, this abandonment was just a last resort decision based on analyzing the timeline before and after. In fact, she really wants to implement the idea of stealing from the Tang god Wang family. No one can be resurrected after death, even Soraka, who is a god-level martial soul, has no authority over resurrection. Therefore, the 4 major affiliated sects of the Tang Clan, such as the Power Clan, the Sensitivity Clan, the Breaking Clan, and the Imperial Clan, have long silently disappeared within an unparalleled timeline without any accidents. This can be seen from Tang Ye's downfall in explaining to Huo Guo that the Tang Clan had never mentioned the glory of the 4 major affiliated sections. Otherwise, as the current leader of the Tang Clan, Tang Ye would not have fallen into a situation where she needed to rely on Shrek Academy, and even failed to become a disciple of the inner courtyard. But now, as the fox concubine herself said, it has only been over 100 years since Tang Shenhuang took his little wife Xiaowu. So, have the 4 major affiliated sects that have not yet gone extinct, and even the wife of Ma Hongjun, Bai Qinxiang, among the 7 monsters, not died with all their resentment and dissatisfaction towards the Tang God King. It has to be said that Bai Qinxiang, as a descendant of the Min clan, the granddaughter of the clan leader Bai He, and the lover of Ma Hongjun, Lin Waner has a good appetite for all aspects of her personality, making her a relatively successful and normal CP combination in the original work. Unfortunately, Bai Qinxiang was unable to follow Ma Hongjun to the divine realm when he became a god in the end. The reason is that Ma Hongjun failed the first-level god exam and inexplicably became a second-level phoenix god. When Lin Waner first saw this place, she thought it was because Ma Hongjun didn't work hard on a daily basis, which led to a poor foundation and could only be separated from his wife's yin and yang. With numerous book enthusiasts constantly speculating and digging deeper, a conspiracy theory originating from the Tang God King has been derived. In the eyes of Tang Shenhuang, he couldn't tolerate his teammates who were running behind him to become level 1 gods, enjoying the same treatment and status as him. Therefore, he secretly caused trouble, which led to Ma Hongjun not passing the first-level God Fire God test, and instead chose the second-level God Phoenix God test. Thinking of this, Lin Waner's face showed a look of disgust. Tang sect leaders and Tang San were not good things, especially the Haotian sect. If it weren't for Bibi Dong's excessive love and utilitarianism, perhaps there would have been no such tragic events as the peerless. The plan of stealing a home in her mind has already taken shape, and Lin Waner, who is willing to accept it as soon as she sees it, has changed her face in Sichuan opera. After thinking about it, she realized that her current strength is not enough for the current wine and food of affiliated sects such as Bai Qinxiang. So she turned her gaze to Emperor Tian, who had a cold face but not a cold heart. Emperor Tian, who was eagerly gazed upon by Lin Waner, shuddered with an unprecedented coldness. His puzzled golden pupils swept towards the saint who smiled like a flower, and the voice in his throat was quite polite. I don't know what the saint is up to, why is she looking at me like this? I still don't understand that Emperor Tian, who is being concerned about, feels a bit cramped. Since shouldering heavy responsibilities, he hasn't had much interaction with a cub that can be pinched to death with just one finger. Especially, the cub in front of me is not a rough-skinned and thick-skinned male child, but a female child with a mother-like aura who feels like she will water when pinched and cries loudly in exchange for sympathy from fierce beasts such as Biji. Grandpa D. Tian, I feel a bit reluctant to ask for your help. Can you agree to it? Lin Waner blinked. Considering that Emperor Tian was a little over 1 billion years older than herself, she decided not to directly call Emperor Tian's name, but to add a suffix for him. Firstly, she wants to bridge the gap between the two, and secondly, Lin Waner is looking forward to being an emperor that her father has never been before. How should she respond to her affectionate address? Unscrupulous request. If the Virgin has any instructions, please feel free to say so. We will do our best to complete everything we can. Having a clear class concept and respecting the emperor is like an old butler, and his wording is very appropriate. However, the tenderness and helplessness that appeared in Emperor Tian's golden eyes were still captured by Lin Waner. Seeing this scene, Lin Waner became even more determined to help the soul beasts and the suffering people break free from the cunning schemes of the Tang God King. However, the premise of helping them was self-interest and self-interest, rather than the so-called Madonna's heart attack. Everyone felt pitiful and disregarded her own feelings, so she went to help others. That kind of person is purely foolish and sweet. Oh, by the way, the kind of person she just mentioned is really not Xiaowu. Please don't take your seat by the same number. A saint. Emperor Tian, who had not received any response, called out the Holy Maiden again in an attempt to get Lin Waner to reveal the specific content so that he could give a clear answer. Sorry, Grandpa D. Tian. I was just thinking about briefly sharing the pros and cons of this matter with you. Taking a few steps forward again, I realized that I needed to lift my head to look up at Lin Waner, the Emperor. For the first time, I intuitively felt a hilarious joke. Be careful, I'll jump up and hit your knee. Grandpa D. Tian, can you bend down? It's too tiring to talk to you with your back up like this. The beast god almost couldn't suppress his expression upon hearing these words, and lowered his head with a smile on his face. He listened attentively to the young and possibly useful plan told by the saintly woman, who was both human and ghostly. After carefully listening to Lin Waner's complete plan, Emperor Tian appeared very surprised. He did not expect that the Holy Maiden had only come to the Starry Forest for a day, so he learned about the current situation of the human continent sect from the Fox Consort and implemented a plan against Tang Clan. Whether it is the 4 major affiliated sects that have gradually become marginalized in the newly established Tang Clan, or the White Agarwood information that has not been taken to the divine realm, they all have some understanding of the several fierce beasts. But their views on these things and soul masters on the mainland are not as complex as Lin Waner thought. Because in the heavenly eye of the beast god emperor, soul beasts do not value soul masters, and it is only natural for soul masters to not value soul beasts. The two cannot coexist at all. If you don't believe it, you can refer to the blue-silver emperor and the soft-bone rabbit. As the older group, they are not yet being played with by male soul masters in their teens and applauded. On weekdays, it looks very loving and is hailed as a model for our generation. At a critical moment, when it comes to matters related to the future survival of the Soul Beast clan, they are not only ineligible to participate in the final decision-making discussion, but also have no way to improve the Soul Master's impression of soul beasts as lowly food. Sad, lamentable, despicable. I am quite happy to write this chapter. After all, readers who have read the legendary manga of the Divine Realm must have been crazy about the BCP relationship between Ma Hongjun and Bai Qinxiang, especially when the Desire God tried to seduce the horse. The tearful scene still reminds me to this day. Essentially, what I wrote should be no different from the male lead's Douluo Continent, but using the female lead's perspective is more delicate and tends to be neutral or softer in style. But don't worry, the relaxed and refreshing article has no CP female lead. I will stick to Hua, Wang Dong and others. If you have sincere opinions and don't give advice, I will take them into consideration. Please don't fatten up, leave more comments, and save them. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Ultimate Healing Power of the Mainland. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Ultimate Healing Power of the Mainland. Saint, you think things are too beautiful. You see, even the pure and upright divine law enforcer, Shura God, has been born with auspicious beasts and has scanned the Starry Forest several times with his pupils. Emperor Tian let out a cold laugh and said inexplicably, even gods like him don't know how to follow the rules and try to make the divine realm even stronger than him. Will there still be good people in the human race who believe in soul beasts? The cold and bone-eating gaze, like a venomous snake, wandered over Lin Waner's body. In the voice of Emperor Tian, there was a biting hatred that made Lin Waner momentarily silent. Human nature is inherently evil, perhaps it is a fact. My throat was a bit dry, and the scene in Emperor Tian's eyes of the Soul Beast clan becoming fish and meat under the Soul Master's chopping board surfaced. Lin Waner instinctively activated her soul power, causing the Star Guardian staff to appear in her palm. The Guardian song from the Star Guardian echoes in her ears, and Lin Waner, who has gradually gained the courage to resist, no longer argues with Emperor Tian about the correctness of the previous Soul Master, but focuses on the present and future. So I came and provided a plan. I believe in you, in the universal spirit beasts, and at the same time, I believe in the gods who will bring hope to the spirit beasts in this world, a true enforcer, a gentle and kind first-level god. At this moment, Lin Waner inexplicably wants Wu Guo to be born earlier. As long as the other party does not experience the operation of Tang Shenwang splitting the daughter's divine soul and is trained into a qualified loyal dog, then Emperor Tian will definitely have hope for humanity. I hope you're right, Saint. I can let the soul beast investigate the situation of Bai Qinxiang. If she hasn't been buried yet, I will find a way for her to meet you. After careful consideration of Lin Waner's attitude and way of speaking, Emperor Tian verbally promised each other a step forward. This compromise is nothing more than Lin Waner's demonstrated ability to make him selectively listen, and the power shared by the Communist Party is not just a pie in the pan, a joke. Both sides have just started to make contact, and if we switch our hearts, we must not refuse forcefully to avoid irreversible consequences. Thank you, Grandpa D. Tian first. I'm waiting for your good news. Lin Waner withdrew her scepter and smiled as she waved her hand at Emperor Tian. She turned around and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, then took 2 steps and flew towards the 3-eyed golden lion. Dealing with old antiques is troublesome, but fortunately she has 3 golden dragons to suck on now. Wang Qiu'er, I'm here. Unconsciously, the 3-eyed golden dragon, who was full of 3 eyes, wanted to bite back. However, when he thought of his sister's slightly delicate skin with hair that was different from his own, he decisively withdrew his teeth and used his tongue full of thorns to lick the girl's head. Feeling the heat passing through her head, like the tongue of a big comb, Lin Waner, who was heavily controlled by the cat, did not feel any disgust, but was quite satisfied with the actions of the 3-eyes golden dragon. The cat actively licks the fur of the fecal remover, great. During the time when Lin Waner's relationship with the 3-eyed golden dragon rapidly heated up, the busy Emperor Tian walked among each fierce beast like a grandfather, conveying the previous plan of the Holy Maiden. As expected, several fierce beasts pondered for a moment and agreed to let the newly born saint contact the subordinate sects of the Tang sect. This not only exercises the experience of the saints and increases their experience, but may also help them stop the next wave of beasts targeting the top human geniuses. There are many soul beasts in the Star Do Forest, and they have the highest voice in various soul beast forests. However, the cost of setting off a wave of soul beasts is also enormous. Every time those damn surviving soul masters receive unexpected soul ring skills, cherished soul bones, increased experience in the next battle against the beast tide, learned lessons, and improved shortcomings. Therefore, it is not a last resort, even if the beast god emperor no longer values the soul master, he is unwilling to create more waves of using the soul beast's life to accumulate. The efficiency of ferocious beasts in handling affairs is much faster than that of humans. Shortly after, Lin Waner was pushed to the dining table by the three-eyed golden dragon and ate delicious food under the caring gaze of a group of ferocious beasts. When soul beasts eat, there is no rule of silence, so Xiong-jun squinted Dodo's eyes and made a rough voice during Lin Waner's selection of delicious food. "Saint, I'm curious about what your essence is. Can you tell us about it so that Xiong-jun can broaden our horizons?" One by one, my self-proclaimed Xiong-jun almost made Lin Waner choke. She covered her mouth and coughed for a while before slowly coming over to look at the chubby uncle at the table. She couldn't help but say, "I was born to show off as a human being in the form of a soul beast, unlike my uncles and sisters, as well as Grandpa Di Tian, who have a true nature. Therefore, Uncle Xiong, I apologize for not allowing you to broaden your horizons." Upon reflection, Lin Waner was a somewhat different Xiong-jun. She awkwardly touched her head, completely devoid of the aura of a fierce beast. "It was my mistake, I forgot that the Holy Maiden is different from us," she said. Upon seeing this, the Red King, who had just finished patrolling, looked away from the fox consort and exclaimed exaggeratedly, "Xiong-jun, when did you change your personality? You have such a gentle side. Shouldn't you be possessed by something dirty?" Xiong-jun, the daughter slave, stiffened and rubbed his palms at the Red King, saying, "If you don't speak, no one will treat you as mute. Is your head with 3 heads itching? I'll scratch it with my paws for you. Did you make a mistake by saying that you have changed your personality? You still want to use your claws?" As soon as the Red King wanted to fight back, he was mesmerized by Lin Waner's sound and his eyes flickered. "Uncle Red King, stop arguing. Although I cannot reveal my true form to everyone, I can explain it to you based on the Soul Master's definition of martial souls, as if it is to deepen our understanding of each other." After wiping her mouth and attracting the attention of the fierce beasts, Lin Waner began to simply popularize her martial soul and soul power. Firstly, her martial soul is the Soraka martial soul, simply put, a long green hair with a white unicorn likely to grow on her forehead in the future, which can be called the martial soul of a half-human, half-soul beast. As for the level of soul power, the innate soul power is at level 20. Just now, due to the blessing of Emperor Lu's vitality, it has now reached level 27. She has not yet explored her soul skills, and her innate domain skills are divided into forbidden souls and healing powers, which are likely to suppress all auxiliary soul masters and soul beasts with the attribute of being superior. According to the mainland's term for this type of soul master, it can also be said to be the ultimate milk, the ultimate healing power. The ferocious beasts who patiently listened nodded repeatedly, and they had already learned about the healing and soul-restraining methods of the Holy Maiden Lin Waner before. It's just that understanding comes from understanding, and truly speaking it out from the Virgin's mouth is another matter. Biji, who was eating meat and drinking alcohol on the side, joked with Biji and said, "It seems that soon the title of the first healing soul beast in the mainland will be stripped off Biji's body and transferred to the saint. For the ferocious beasts and the emperor, I think I would prefer to lean towards my family. Whether it's the male or female protagonist, we can refer to people in this world who have no blood relationship as relatives. I won't be overly biased towards soul beasts, but after watching the first and second parts, but not the third and fourth parts, I still feel that being busy all my life, and possibly having no offspring, is too miserable for ferocious beasts. Gu Yuna seems to be busy with love, while the ferocious beasts are busy with their careers. The final empty ending is too tragic. So the essence is to make the original work, characters with decent values, including the protagonist, resist as much as possible and not be embarrassed. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The Little Witch Living in Emerald Lake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Little Witch Living in Emerald Lake. The speaker has no intention, the listener has intention. Lin Waner, who was well aware of Biji's irreplaceable position in the future invasion plan of the mainland, decisively put down the freshly squeezed fruit juice in her hand, smashed her mouth, and said slowly, regardless of what others had in mind. Sister Biji highly esteems me. I have no idea about the title of the top healer in mainland China. Besides, why do we have to distinguish between high and low in these unfounded titles, and we can't eat them as food? Do you think so, Sister Biji? The soul beasts in the Douluo Forest are not like mainland soul masters who like to put gold on their faces. They always strive for right or wrong in everything, and always have an invincible face like an old man. Who should they show it to? However, sitting next to Emperor Tian, as a party involved, Biji is actually not very fond of this title. For her, rather than her title and status, she prefers to be an unknown wife, accompanying her beloved husband until the end of time, rather than becoming the backbone of all soul beasts, fighting and killing with soul masters all day long, witnessing the massacre of the people in the Starry Forest together, but with no other choice. However, whether she caught a cold or not, when Biji saw Lin Waner's serious eyes, sincere face, and tone of treating everyone as family, her heart was still very happy. Gently gazing at Lin Waner waiting for a reply, Biji nodded and then propped her head with her hand, turning her head to smile at Biji, who was arched with fire, Nushan. Biji, for the sake of your love for Donghua, from today on, any wound you may have suffered in 10,000 years, please don't cry out and rush to find me to cure it. Ah! Don't do that. I didn't say anything wrong. Ziji's mood was like riding a roller coaster and falling into a dark abyss. Her expression, which was originally joking about the two of them, instantly became extremely miserable. If Biji can't help her treat the wounds caused by fighting and sparring for 10,000 years, how can she quietly implement the Far North plan and go to places where birds don't poop to play happily with the new little scorpion? Thinking of this, Biji couldn't sit still and quickly stood up. Alright, tonight is a banquet specially prepared for the Virgin Mary. Biji, just sit here honestly, it's only 10,000 years. Isn't it good to practice with the auspicious beast honestly? Emperor Tian, who played the role of an old father, turned the soul power in his arms and used a dragon-catching hand to bring Purple Concubine back to her seat, so that she wouldn't get too excited. Without careful effort, he opened the wings behind her and flipped the table, causing all the precious food that everyone had worked hard all afternoon to be stained with dust and mud. Emperor Tian, you pull the crossbar. Lin Waner ate melons and watched the play. She watched as Biji, who looked like a kitten, was lifted by the official Emperor Tian, who was shoveling feces and placed on a wooden stool. For a moment, she couldn't help but laugh and burst out laughing. Following closely behind was Biji's crisp laughter, and then everyone laughed along, as cheerful as the scene was. There's no way, who can make Biji one of the few female ferocious beasts, and her body is also one of the top among soul beasts, with rough skin and thick flesh, and a high attack from the Dragon Clan. On weekdays, everyone was teased by her words, unable to beat or curse, and had no other choice but to seek help from Emperor Tian, so today, it is rare to see the demon dragon Purple Concubine suffer from exhaustion in the hands of the Holy Maiden. Naturally, we should make fun of her and seek revenge for what we have not avenged on a regular basis. You guys who like to fall into trouble, just laugh out loud. I'll see how long you can laugh. Biji rolled her eyes in frustration, but did not feel embarrassed. Instead, she felt a chill. Because true coldness is never about making a big fuss, she felt very relieved and said that the ferocious beast in front of her had learned so well that no one came forward to help him speak. Isn't she just a little careless about teasing the saint? Everyone present is not an old guy who has lived for over 100,000 years, a good brother who usually wears the same pants as her. When it comes to critical moments, he can really fall off the chain. Yujia Biji, who has a 2 GB brain capacity, didn't pay attention at all. When she teased the Holy Maiden before, she brought along the caring nanny, the Emerald Swan Biji, who was the mother of the Douluo Forest soul beasts. A banquet that could be arranged as planned was fleeting, and considering that other savage beast dwellings were not suitable for the saint to rest, the gentle Biji invited Lin Waner to the resting place of the Jade Swan clan. A small lake artificially crafted, filled with immortal lotus plant soul beasts and small fish soul beasts, known as the Jade Lake. As Biji released her soul power, an exquisite and tall wooden attic appeared from the void, surrounded by the figure of a jade swan that caught the eye of the auxiliary soul master. Pavilions and pavilions, surrounded by the central building, appear faintly in the mist and moonlight. Lin Waner looked at the jade courtyard in front of her and was very satisfied. Indeed, following Sister Biji was a good choice. Who else could match this quality of life? Stepping onto the stairs that appeared in the lake, not long after, Lin Waner, who had stepped onto the attic, was surrounded by a group of enthusiastic, silly and sweet jade swans who did not understand the outside world, forming a mascot. Your Highness, is this a saint? Her scent is similar to ours. Yes, a good-looking person, with the same hair color and pupils as the clan leader. Shouldn't they be the clan leader's child? Quiet, you scared the little girl. A relatively large emerald swan standing tall among geese opened its mouth and uttered human words. Seeing Lin Waner's shocked expression, Biji beside her explained, the Jade Swan clan is born with extremely high intelligence and healing ability, which also leads to their lack of aggression and self-protection ability. Therefore, as long as they pass the 50,000-year mark, they will learn to make sounds like humans on weekdays, when there is nothing to do in the Starry Forest and Emperor Tian does not need companionship. Biji likes to nestle in the tribe and patiently teach the soul beasts in the tribe to speak. Over time, most intelligent jade swans who want to learn how to speak will speak. It turns out that's the case. I thought it could last for 100,000 years and be transformed into an adult at any time. Lin Waner nodded, seeming to understand. Looking at Lin Waner's bewildered expression, Biji covered her mouth and chuckled, but she didn't continue explaining the layout of the attic. She kindly sent someone back to rest. In her eyes, whether it was Lin Waner or the lucky beast three-eyed golden lion, they were essentially immature cubs that needed careful care. I had no dreams all night. After waking up, Lin Waner continued to eat the food sent by the fierce beasts as usual, followed them to start the first stage of cultivation, and accompanied the three-eyed golden dragon to play, growing their relationship. It has to be said that the future Tang God King covets the ability of the three-eyed golden dragon, and it is correct to want to use it for himself. Even though Lin Waner's current divine-level martial soul Soraka needs to heal others, gain pure faith, light up the ascending God long level, the speed of cultivating soul power is still significantly increased. From this, it can be seen that the Starry Forest, adorned with auspicious beasts, is already considered the beginning of the European Empire compared to places such as the far north. Unfortunately, forget it, don't think about these things that may or may not be there. Thinking too much can lead to baldness. Shake her head, Lin Waner continues with the soul beasts of the Starry Forest. Having suffered from heart disease in a previous life, I was unable to engage in vigorous exercise and outdoor adventures. These things mixed together can be considered a great regret before my death. So she was reincarnated into the Starry Forest, and Lin Waner had enough fun and trouble to deal with. Therefore, she unanimously received the title of Little Witch, recognized by all the spiritual beasts who had opened their minds. If Ning Rongrong had not become a god, was still on the mainland, and knew Lin Waner, so when she saw Lin Waner's usual gameplay in the Starry Forest, she would be willing to hand over the title of Witch of the Seven Treasures in Glass Sect. Having received the title of Little Witch, Lin Waner made up for the joy she had never experienced in her previous life. She was trapped in a period of soul power bottleneck and was about to turn the gaze of the troublemaker onto the newly emerged Emperor Tian. This beast god, who usually doesn't see anyone and works hard, suddenly brought her good news. End of this chapter.